Hey Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Nicholas. How are you?
Fantastic, fantastic. Another wonderful week. I'm actually in Florida. I was traveling for a trade show, Meet Magento. Pretty cool trade show.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I'm looking forward to the weekend. I wanted to know if you saw earlier this week, the podcast Smartless.
Of course.
Smartless is going from Amazon to SiriusXM, and that's the show from Jason Bateman, Sean Hughes, and Will Arnett. They're going from one platform to the next, and reportedly the deal is worth $100 million
Oh wow.
for their podcast. So my question to you is, you know, if Sirius comes knocking, are we open to moving platforms?
Hey, it's a good question. Probably no less than 50 million, but why not?
Highest bidder gets it.
Absolutely. All right, let's go on. Oops. Oh wow. Hello and welcome to another episode of the VCommerce show. I'm your co-host Nicholas with eStreamly, the company that gets you live stream and video commerce on your website and on social media. And I have the great pleasure to be with the talented Matt from E6 Marketing, the company that gets you on QVC. How are you, Matt, today?
Excellent, Nicholas. Excellent.
Absolutely, and so excited to converse with you today. Another week of really cool news. But before we go there, why don't you tell us about what the show is about?
Yeah, this show's about exactly that. News in the video commerce world. So our video commerce podcast is about video streaming and video selling, video streaming and selling content. So it's kind of born out of the DRTV world, direct response television. QVC and HSN are kind of the grandfathers of the platform. Now you could shop through your phone, your tablet, through apps, through your television, through QR codes. So there's so much to learn and digest in this video commerce space. So this podcast is kind of built around getting you updated on certain news and events that are happening during the week, but also hopefully entertaining you and opening your eyes up to the dynamic of video commerce.
Excellent, excellent, and we can see it's Friday because I think we all are both tired and can't put two words next to each other and like making sure our straights our foot. So, but hey, another excitement here. So let's go on the news of the week. I think you wanted to talk about Pinterest and you saw some really cool thing about them. So why don't you kick it
Yeah,
off?
yeah. So it might not be news, but something that struck me this week. I read an article about their shoppable posts have jumped 50% in one quarter. So people are shopping through Pinterest now through video, where it's a fairly new thing. I know it's not brand new, but it used to be through images and kind of inspirational dynamics through still photos and things like that. Now it's getting into video, and it's really becoming a video commerce platform.
Absolutely.
480 million monthly active users. 480 million. And half of them want to shop. So it's a big with the Gen Zs. 42% of their dynamic or their viewership is Gen Z, the audience, and most of the engaged audience watch the content more than once. So they come back and they're looking for inspiration. They're looking for I guess product to buy. They're looking for um, imagery,
Yeah.
things. I guess surrounding inspiration, but
It makes
getting
so much sense, right? Pinterest is this platform where you can find new things, get inspired, you know, easily share with your friend as well. I think there's a lot of that notion, and then you can really. I think they do a really good job with the algo where it really serve you, things that you actually want to see, and the quality of the content is pretty good actually. So
I know. So our conversations have all been about TikTok, and they continue to dominate the headlines. But there's other platforms out there too. Like this video commerce dynamic is definitely a hot buzzing topic in any kind of marketing or sales uh, business models. So Pinterest really blowing up the video. I thought that was interesting.
yeah, absolutely. And speaking of video commerce into a more publisher, because at the end of the day, Pinterest is a publisher, and even if they are incorporating video and shoppability and commerce, they are remaining a publisher. But one of the dynamic that is super fascinating to me is, and I don't know if you saw that, Matt, but there has been a bloodbath in the media industry. And when you think about this, is that when I say bloodbath, it's like a lot of laid off, company shutting door. I think it was like the Los Angeles Times announced that they will let go about 20% of their staff. You got, which they already had done 13% earlier in the last year. They say, I think it was the time that's informed that they will be let go 15% of their staff. You've got the Sport Illustrated, I think, that went under. I mean, it's, if you think about, like, it's a lot of companies. I think Business Insider saying 8% of their staff, Forbes is saying 3% of their workers. So there's been a lot of laid off. And what I found interesting is the fact that, well, a lot of those publishers, those newer publisher, digital publisher, are actually adding checkout. And when you think about, like, so as a brand, if you have $1 million to spend, do you want to spend closer to checkout, or do you want to spend to those network that have more audience and broader audience? So I think it's been really interesting to think it this way. So with Pinterest adding checkout, I'm assuming they will continue funneling a lot of dollars. We know that Instacart is funneling, obviously media, retail media with Amazon and Walmart. I think those dynamics are actually eating on the share that those media company were having. And as they grow, the whole media landscape is going to shrink. My concern with this whole story is that, well, what's going to be the end result on the quality of the journalism, right? The problem is that if you're New York Times, maybe it's different because they have their subscription model, but for other that are too much relying on ad, how is it going to play out? So now you see, like, I think it's Business Insider and some of those are where it's a lot of clickbait article, and I think, do you want to see that? So I think it's very fascinating. I don't know what you think on that, but like this whole media space being in some way completely vacuumed by the retail media space. That's my rate, at least.
I know. Well, the retail media space, like we've talked about this before, Thanksgiving weekend, and this wasn't anything new, but the football game on Amazon used QR codes to go right directly to the advertiser or the company that was advertising in that space, in that commercial. You don't even have to run commercials anymore on traditional television. You can put a QR code up there and it goes right to that dynamic. But what you're talking about is fair and open media. And if fair and open media are losing headcount, that's not good for anybody, because you need to have a check and balances. You need to have theoretically fair reporting. Hopefully, you listening to both sides of the aisle, and the media drives the communication. The media drives the conversation. The media drives the politics. The media drives the brands. The media drives a lot. And if everyone's losing headcount and they're relying on AI or whatever they're going to rely on, it's probably not good for the overall.
Yeah, I mean, but the reality is, like, what's the business model for those company, right? Like for media company, right? Because advertisers are moving away because they want to be closer to checkout. You've got subscription, like paper subscription. No one is buying any, receiving any paper subscription. So you have to have a paywall. But to have a paywall, you better have like some really high end quality content, and you're only going to serve like a very small chunk of the population. And as people are going to social media also, it's like, you can people are getting their news from TikTok, getting their news from Twitter and all those platforms. So I think it's I don't know, I just think it's very interesting, those dynamics. And I'm just wondering where is that going to end, or how is that going to end?
That's a great point. It's a great point. Totally shifting gears, but kind of in the same dynamic as traditional media. If you didn't know, the Super Bowl is set now. Last weekend, the 49ers and the Chiefs both won, and the Super Bowl is in 2 weeks, or a week, I guess, a week from this Sunday. And it's the two most interesting dynamics as far as media goes, because it's Taylor Swift's Kansas City Chiefs, and it's, please don't tell my children I said that, but it's her Chiefs, and then it's the dynamic of the 49ers being on the West Coast, and the fact that the game is in Las Vegas for the very first time. So all those things are merging, where there's going to be so much media and commerce and how things are going to move. I read last year's Rihanna did the Super Bowl halftime show, and she generated $5.6 million in media value for her Fenty brand by doing the halftime show. In a 12-hour span, 5.6 million in media value. So now the big story this year, as far as that goes, Taylor Swift wore a designer jacket, a personally designer jacket with her boyfriend's number on it, who was Travis Kelce. And it was created by another player that happens to be on the 49ers, who they're playing in the Super Bowl. Her name's Kristen Jaswick, and her son Kyle, or her husband Kyle, plays for the 49ers. Her Instagram blew up the day Taylor Swift wore her jacket. She's got over 820,000 Instagram followers. And on Tuesday of this past week, she signed a deal with the NFL to be like their fashion designer. So she's gonna, I guess, clothe all the NFL teams and offer merch. I'm assuming a female merch to their consumer base. All of this around football and media and Las Vegas. And I'm not even interested in either of these teams, but the media dynamic of this Super Bowl will be greater than ever before.
Yeah, fascinating. Where we were just talking that there's like a bloodbath on the media side, and on the other side, media still is able to drive, excitement, it drive revenue and all that. So it's really a, how at least sports, sports media is a very different beast than traditional media. I will say maybe that's the thing to remember.
Well, in the beginning of the season, or the beginning of their relationship, when they started dating, when Taylor Swift started showing up to games, the joke was like, how many times are they going to take that shot from the press box and take away attention to the game? Now it's a runaway train. They have to pay attention to it because it's such a value-driven dynamic. It's really, really crazy.
Well, one of the things that is very interesting, like coming back to the VCommerce show and while we're here, something I heard recently, it was not with the Eastern platform, it was with, a competitive platform, but someone had mentioned that they had done a show in Europe and there was this celebrity, pretty big following and massive event in terms of, publicity and all that. And they didn't translate into sales. So it's also interesting to think about it this way, right? It's not there's really like not all celebrity will transform to sales. So luckily, Taylor Swift is a master at that. She is able to drive sales for what she wants to wear, like Mr. Beast is. But it's not because you're a celebrity or you're working with celebrities that you actually translate to sales. A good example of that is there has been this massive ad campaign with Solo Stove and with I think it was
Snoop Dogg.
With Snoop Dogg, right? And it was a fantastic campaign executed super nicely. And I end up having a really awesome conversation with someone in the company, and they say, well, we didn't get the sales that we were expecting from that. As a matter of fact, the CEO had to step down, 3 or 4 days right after that conversation. I think he stepped down last week or something. So not all celebrities are going to are going to make a transaction, but the one that do, they can really massively do it. So I think that's the moral of that story.
So interesting. Absolutely right. Not every athlete is a marketing dynamic. And that's absolutely for sure.
Yeah. The last news for me that I wanted to bring up is I don't know if you saw, but like there's this massive change in the checkout space. And I mean, it's not a massive change, I will say, but like I feel that the whole checkout experience, the payment experience is evolving with the introduction of things like biometrics. I think it's a big innovation with bringing on biometrics that enable customers to actually make a purchase using their face or their voice to pre-fill information at checkout. PayPal just announced like some pretty big, massive innovation on the PayPal checkout with a new checkout, and where actually you can just sign in with your face, so in the checkout process, which is you know uh, you know pretty much everyone has a PayPal account, or not everyone, but like a lot of customer have PayPal, and having that ability to sign in with your face or with your fingerprint to the checkout is, I think, one of the reasons I never use PayPal is like I never remember my password. So now if I can do it from my face, I will certainly more use it. The other thing that they are doing, and that's interesting, is they are introducing the one-click checkout as well, which a lot of startup have raised billion to build. Now PayPal has this whole data, all those customer, and they're already on all those platforms, and they're going to roll this out like Stripe did. I think it's very fascinating to see how the introduction of what the technology enable us to do, and how people are heavily investing to make that whole checkout seamless and more seamless by the day. I don't know what you think on that, but I think that those were pretty big news in my point of view.
Now, we were last week we were talking about NRF, and we were both at NRF in New York City a couple weeks ago, and the dynamic and the buzz in the building at the Javits Center was all about artificial intelligence and artificial intelligence related to retail. So just write down what you're talking about, how AI is getting involved, and they're examining what kind of influence this is going to have on the dynamic. I was just reading something this week about there's an FTC probe in the Amazon, Microsoft, and Google, all related to AI. And they don't want, the FTC doesn't want them to have some kind of dominant influence on their competitors. So the FTC is trying to research this AI dynamic, which everyone is still learning about. I realized that it wasn't just me. It's so overwhelming. Everyone is kind of overwhelmed by everything you could do now with AI. And from a commerce point of view, just like you're saying with PayPal, it's all about personalization. If you can personalize it to the consumer, that consumer will love it. So everything's personable, everything's storytelling and directed right to me. My size, my height, my waist. If I'm buying apparel, my shoe size, I'm buying shoes. Like they know who I am before I walk in the door, as I walk in the door with this AI dynamic. So we're just on the cusp of all this,
Yeah,
and it's amazing.
and I'm wondering if FTC is looking at it from the standpoint of like those companies have so much data about the user that they can tell her an experience that no other brand can. I mean, Macy's or Walmart. I mean, maybe even Walmart. I think it would be hard for them. Like even like they don't have the depth of data that Google has on me, or Apple has on me, right? I mean, like I'm a Apple users. They know my emails, they know my apps I have, they know my habit, I know where I shop, how I shop things. Google is the same thing, Amazon is the same thing. So, there's a really a a great amount of data that I'm actually giving away by just interacting with those platforms, and they can tailor an experience that will be just for me, that I'm gonna love it. And maybe that I'm wondering if FTC is looking at it from that standpoint, saying, hey, the other company will never have a shot at fighting against the fight, because those guys have so much about every individual that with AI there's no way you can compete. I wonder if that's the topic.
Can you imagine walking into a brick and mortar retail store, if it's a fashion store, and they do a scan of your body, head to toe scan, some kind of just walk through the threshold of the door, and they know all your metrics. They know your previous shopping experience. They know what you like, what you don't like. And somehow either a virtual reality salesperson, which is probably going to happen, or a true salesperson will walk up to you and direct you to everything you want that's in your head. Like that's going to be in a couple months. Like that's not Jetson crazy stuff. Like that's going to happen very soon, and it blows me away. It just blows me away of how that technology has grown in my mind, such a short period of time.
Yeah. In the interim, I don't know if you saw that. I think it was like what's the name of that company? Instacart. So they bought a company that do actual the physical cart, and on that physical cart they actually have like some sort of an iPad or an interactive display that you can use. It's pretty expensive cart, but they added gamification on that cart. So the idea is that, well, by the time AI tell you what to shop, let's have games while you're shopping, so to make the interaction a little bit more fun or
Oh
something.
my God. You're multitasking while you're shopping.
Feed the Tamagotchi while you're shopping at the same time, and don't forget to bring the rice.
Oh,
Uh,
crazy. That is crazy.
All right. Well, a special shout out on my side. We at Extremely launched this free UGC alert. This is an alert that we send once a week for any brands that wants to know about what other are creating as video content about their brand. It's free to sign up, and we are reviewing all the major platform and are collecting the top 5 video that were created about your brand from each of those platforms. Could be an interesting tool if you don't have massive people doing UGC screening for you. So feel free to sign up. It's free, and we have one person looking at that, doing manual this work manually. So we just appreciate doing that for the brand that work with us. So that's the shout out that I have for you. Anything on your side, Matt?
No, I'm looking forward to the weekend, though, Nicholas. As you said at the beginning of the show, it's been a long week. You're traveling. We're in the middle of the winter. I'm still waiting for everything to break, the weather to break, get back outside. But it's going to be an interesting week. This is this is the in between week before the Super Bowl starts. It's kind of a slower weekend in the sports world. But I'm just looking forward to the spring.
Yeah, I think I am too, and we should watch the Super Bowl together, like do a watch party or something.
That would
Never
be
done that.
hysterical. That would be hysterical.
Well, for the listeners, thank you for being here. We are here every Friday on LinkedIn, on the Extremely platform, as well as on the live e-commerce podcast. You can share, like, tell us what you did, what you like about the show. Tell us if we should have guests as well. Thank you very much for being here, and we will see you next Friday. Thanks, everyone.
Bye bye.